The Viewpoint follows a series of briefings to the business community by the government on the details of the new customs arrangements under the new treaty.
We are conscious that the time is tight for the implementation. We're conscious that it's not easy, but we are here to work with businesses.
At the moment, in the absence of a proper working transition programme, Gibraltar businesses are rather recklessly, I think, being asked to juggle, blindfolded and with both hands tied.
It's very, very real with 64 days to go. What we really need to understand, and quickly, are the operational realities on the ground. So how are those systems going to work?
In a sector that is trading in goods, you're at the sharp end of the wedge. And I think this treaty brings with it challenges which are paradigm shifting for doing business in Gibraltar.
The live audience had lots of questions about the operational realities of the new regime, as well as concerns about what it means for their business.
There's anxieties and uncertainties in terms of the preparedness, because there isn't any sort of concrete yet information in terms of operationally.
If you have to register on the Spanish side with DCP, will they check that you have all the sanitary requirements and all the things? And is that going to be done in 60 days?
If we have all these taxes going on to British products, we could land up in a situation where we're selling British products more expensive than Britain and more expensive than shops in the EU.
We have our suppliers, our customers that pay 0%, and we're able to sell to them effectively. And for that to go to 15, that was just going to kill that business completely. We need to be competitive. We're competing with places that I know are not in the European Union, like Andorra, but they pay 4.5% VAT. That's all they pay. And we have to be able to compete with these places to continue selling to our customers.
All costs are going to increase, which is a concern, because already we find it very hard to compete with Spain. And with this free-flowing border, it's going to be very easy for everybody to go across and eat and drink in La Linea, which is considerably cheaper.
If you have a shop in Main Street or a restaurant in Queensway Quay, compare those with La Linea, the rents here are probably 8, 9, 10 times. So you're never, ever going to compete where there's a free-flowing border.
We're hearing about how we'll survive because of the increase in prices. But that will have a knock-on effect on maybe you have to reduce your workforce. And that's a really big concern for the union.
We were actually surprised to learn yesterday that there'd be a personal allowance for visitors to only spend up to €300 to take across the land border. As a business that sells luxury goods, €300 really doesn't,
What's going to happen in terms of the security in Gibraltar, and when is that likely to happen, and to what extent? So we've spoken about the border and we've spoken about Main Street, but Gibraltar's wider than those two areas.
We're worried that once the border is open and free-flowing, you may have these cameras, but you could have organised gangs coming in and it's going to be quite easy to get back across.
When a super yacht visiting Gibraltar after this treaty is signed arrives, they will essentially have to be bussed to the Schengen shack, and that's the whole crew on the boat. How is that going to work when, effectively, if we're trying to be on an equal playing field with marinas up the coast in Spain, they don't necessarily have to do that?
The crew needs to get down from the yachts to go and buy their provisions, etc. So where they need to go through this process as well is something that we need to understand.
One of the key factors is what the environment is in our town centre. And I think that it's been crying out for some serious investment for a long time.
The panel addressed most of the concerns, but ultimately the new taxes and duties and the timing of their implementation are out of the government's control.
There is a process of change that's going on at the moment, and I think that change worries and concerns everyone. And I think government has to acknowledge the fact that businesses are concerned and businesses are worried about this transition period. However, I do believe that the treaty offers a great opportunity for Gibraltar. It is a pivotal point.
What the government has to do now is step up to the plate, bring in teams of change management, IT consultants, border specialists, whoever's needed to support and provide proper reassurance on the ground.
The Brexit treaty is going to be a profound change for many businesses in an environment where doing business in Gibraltar is already very challenging and more expensive than it is across the border. There are going to be some positives, and I think to maximise those positives, Gibraltar needs a coherent strategic plan.
I think we need further clarity still, and we need that quickly. We absolutely need to do what we can to capture the opportunities. The Chamber's view of that is we invest in our infrastructure for transport to channel all these extra arrivals to spend money with these businesses.
The government has stressed that border fluidity will bring new opportunities, but as the clock counts down towards Treaty Day, it's the details, the practicalities and the cost that businesses are still grappling with.
Are not competitive.